All right, here we are with another trade recap. This one is going to be for Thursday, May the 15th. And I actually didn't get around to doing the one from yesterday, which was May 14th, but it was just like today's, basically. Not much different. And, yesterday I ended up sitting in that trade for like an hour. And the same thing today. It basically failed to displace at the 950 macro, or to deliver, I'm sorry, at the 950 macro, and price waited to deliver at the 1050 macro. So basically what I did is I set my stop loss, set my target, and I just hands off. I had it on another screen while I was working on stuff and glance over here and there, but I just hands off and let it go. Like I was still looking because, okay, so here's the thing. For me, what works best is I know how much I'm willing to risk going into a trade, right? So let's just say, for example, I don't know. Let's just say I want to enter here on a trade. Okay. And let's just say I'm putting my stop down here at this low. And I know how much I'm risking here. Let's just say for the sake of ease, like I know this is the weekly chart and that's like 1,000 points. But let's just say for the sake of ease, this is 35 points. Okay. Right here. That's within my risk parameters. Okay. So I know before I'm trading this session how many points I'm willing to risk, how many contracts I need, everything before I enter trade, before my trade session begins. Right? So like I know that because I make sure and I'm prepared before I trade. So this is within my money management plan. And I know that. So if I lose, I'm 100% okay with it. And that's just part of the plan, right? So when I enter a trade, I automatically assume like, yes, I want it to win. Let's say I'm targeting up here. Yes, I want this to win, right? But I automatically know because this is within my risk, I'm okay with it losing. Like I almost don't care. Like obviously I care, but it makes it to where I'm not focused on a trade by trade basis. Like I'm not. So if this is my stop, right? Like I said, this is my entry, wherever it is. Then if price comes down and it's doing all this, right? Like, yeah, there's going to be certain points where the trade becomes invalidated. Like price should not do something if it is going to displace and go. But anything can really happen, right? Or I could be wrong. Like I could be not reading right. That's possible. I don't read 100%. So what happens is in the same, scenario, my stop loss is here. Entry is here. And let's say like it creates a swing, something happens here and I'm like, oh, price should not go back below this point if it's going to go up. Then technically I could pull my stop up and put it here and reduce my risk some, right? Or let's say this is my target and price runs up, right? Up. It doesn't get to my target yet, but then I throw my stop up here above or break even essentially, right? But then this is what messes me up. If it comes back down, takes me out, and then goes up to my target. I don't know about you, but those are the type of things that I know can mess with my discipline. So because of that, essentially, like, well, either that or let's say I had my stop here. Sorry. Let's say I had my entry here, my stop here, right? And let's say it creates this swing. And I'm like, yeah, price should not, and this is my target. And let's say price should not come back below here. It should not, if it's going to go up. So then I move my stop up to the swing, right? And let's say price goes, and then it decides to go here, take me out, and then go up past my take profit. But it never reached the stop loss. That's another thing that can mess me up. I don't know about you. Everybody's different. It might not mess you up. Those are the type of things I know personally can mess me up right here. And I was like, God, like, come on. Whatever. Because remember, for me, I only take one trade a day. So if this happens, like, I'm done. I'm done. I can't take another trade because it doesn't fall within my money management. Because let's say I do take another trade, and for whatever reason, that one does lose too. And I get a loss. Well, now I got a double loss. Even though this one's a little smaller, but it's like I get two losses. And it doesn't work out for me that way. It just does not work out. So you got to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So those things don't work for me. So my point is, if this is my entry and this is my stop loss and here's my target, I've come to the realization when I enter a trade, I already know my risk and I'm okay with it. I'm going to let price either take out my stop loss or wait until it runs to my take profit. Now, the only time I'm really going to make any adjustment to that is if, let's say, let's get rid of this. Let's say this is my take profit, right? This is my take profit. And let's say price is coming up and it gets pretty close. Like 85, 90% of the way to my target. Then I'll go move my stop to break even. Because what also messes me up, if it gets right there and then it comes down and takes me out of break even, then I'm like, oh my God, I was up so far, so close. So I'll move to break even and then I'll contemplate closing. Or if there's a PD array here, like a fair value gap or order block or something, then I could also kind of just move my stop underneath it, like once it gets really close. I contemplate doing that, and sometimes I'll do that. But yeah, those are the things that mess me up. Or let's say like my target's up here, and it gets really close. And it just, there's a reason, like right here, look, here's a little volume imbalance. So let's just say, for example, there was that right above or below my target, and it's really hesitating right there. And I don't want to give back a bunch of pullbacks, so sometimes I'll just go ahead and close. And that's what I do. Those are the kind of the things that I know that I'm aware of for myself. So I say all that because, and a time limitation, right? So I say all that because this trade today, I entered in, set my stop, had my target. And because it got into this, if you saw the market today, this zone, this like high resistance, seek and destroy, like whatever you want to call it, just didn't deliver. And I'm like, well, I have no reason why. Like, I don't understand why price would come down lower. Like, it doesn't make sense to me why it would. So I really believe it will go up. Like, it should go up. I don't know why I'm in MNQ here. And so because of that, like, I just held. So, and let it go. And I came back and then it's like, okay, I finally got to some point at the 1050 macro where it finally started delivering and it got pretty high. Not to where I really wanted to take profit. And I finally got to a point where like, I'm done. I don't want to hold this past 11. Like, I'm done. Let me get out. So the same thing happened to me yesterday. So let's dive right into it here. Here's the weekly. I've been talking about the weekly chart. Here's this weekly fair value gap that I've been talking about that we should be going into right here. So we're still in the lower half of it, have not hit the midpoint of it. Weekly, still bullish, right? But if you think of the power of three, right? How does the power of three work? Well, we know we have an open, high, low, close, right? So like we know we opened here. Open here, we have this little wick, little bitty wick. So we have the open, low, and then it's expanded, right? Made this high so far. And then tomorrow's Friday. So if you open and go low, then you expand up towards the end of the week, you should go low again, right? Because you have a high, and then you should make a low somewhere. Now, today is Thursday, right? So we went up, kind of pulled back a little. So Friday is going to be interesting tomorrow to see if we want to continue to make a little higher high and then pull back and close, or if we're just going to kind of, bring it down a little bit and close somewhere underneath here and this be our high. It's going to be interesting to see that. The lower time frames are going to really determine that, but everything's been so bullish, and we still have this big imbalance here that will form once this week ends, right? So here's what you can maybe anticipate for next week. That fair value gap I mentioned. Here's the midpoint. Let's say we do go up and hit the midpoint tomorrow. Then we have this imbalance down here. The following week, well, yes, I believe this draw up here is looks like it's going to be a very big draw, right? But what could happen? We might see a draw back down to this imbalance here before going up and taking those highs. Maybe. Just something to keep an eye on. That's what I'll be anticipating. So now let's drop. There's that weekly, right? Now let's drop down to the daily. And also, I said this on my last video, me relating my higher time frame bias, my daily bias with my trade, and I've said this many times, even when I was trading live, that I had two bias, overall bias and my trade bias. I'm really been trying to line up my trade with the overall bias, and it has been delivering. Even when you feel like you don't get the best entry, or maybe you're like, this entry is like, if you're on the right side of the market, that right there, that's just like, that's huge. That's huge. You can make mistakes and still be right and still make profit. You don't have to be perfect. And that's why it's making sense to me now, because I've heard ICT say that many times. Like, you don't have to be perfect on your entry. If you know where the draw is, you know where the higher time frame bias is, and you know where price should be going, like, you don't have to be perfect on your entries. So here's the daily, right? Here's this next daily fair value gap I was talking about. So I was talking about this one here originally, and we traded up through it. Now right here, it acted as an inversion right here. Okay. And then if we look further though, like, we're above that. We've already closed that. We've gone through it. The next point that I'd be looking at is right here, this daily fair value gap. Okay. So yeah, we have that week here. Let me throw the weekly back on so we can overlap it right there. And let me change the color. Let me throw it on my weekly here and go back to the daily. So if we look, this darker area is the daily. Let's darken it up a little bit more so we can see it. This darker one is the daily fair value gap. This brown one is the weekly. So as you can see, like, we're right here. Like, why would price just stop here and not go any further? I could definitely see us tomorrow, and we have this now, this daily fair value gap right here as well that we did reach into. So tomorrow we'll see what it looks like. But what we might see is something like this, where it pulls down, and it may not even do this. It may just, open and keep going up. But Tomorrow, here, let me zoom in a little bit here. Because if you think about it, we had our open, made a little high. Now we're coming down, whatever. But we may see, if we do see a drawdown, we may see it run down. I don't know that we're going to draw back into this fair value gap. The reason why is because we created it here and we already drew down into it here. And I think we are going to draw down somewhere and then potentially run up here, hit this, and then come down and close somewhere. And close somewhere. So that way we have our power of 3 on the weekly. Okay. And then from this area, that's where we might see price go ahead and draw down into these gaps. And maybe even this is that area I was talking about back here. Now, it doesn't have to do that. I'm just looking at possibilities. Because it very well could do this, hit this, kind of stay in this area, and then continue up. There's another one here, kind of ping pong between these before ultimately coming up. Could do that too. So this is what you have to do is anticipate. You have to anticipate and see the reaction of price. Now, one thing I would be looking at though is because I'm not entirely sure because price, like I said, has been very bullish. I'm not entirely sure if it would hit this fair value gap since it already did draw into it a little bit. Don't know that it really needs to come down in here. And now that I'm looking on this left side, look at this inversion. I mean, it hit the midpoint of that inversion right here pretty nicely. See that right here? So yeah, it may not need to draw down lower. So if it's not going to draw down lower, what would I look at? Well, let's look at this wick and check out consequent encroach or mean threshold of this wick right here. Let's add some the labels to it, prices. So I would be watching this right here tomorrow. Or when we get on charts tomorrow, if it already traded to 286 right there. So trade down to 286 and then keep coming up to here. That's what I would really be watching for tomorrow. And so today, I was watching this fair value gap. So I saw that we did before the open draw into it a little bit, but we did. And we also were sweeping yesterday's low. And because, and basically we were inside this high and low from yesterday when we started out the day today. We were inside this, the body was, and we had already swept here and hit this fair value gap. And because I'm bullish and I think we're going to ultimately run up here and then run up here, I was like, oh yeah, there's really no reason for price to go down any further today. This morning. Like there's really not. So let's go down into the 15-minute time frame here. Well, let's see. Let's go to the 1 hour first. And here's where that came down. Came down, and here's where he hit that, right? So what I was looking at as well, here, let's get rid of some of these. Is I was also looking at this 1 hour fair value gap right here. Oh, look at that. Interesting. But I was looking at this 1 hour fair value gap because we were, let's see, where's the 9 o'clock? Here's the 9 o'clock. And we were pushing up and I'm like, okay, once we close and invert, this creates this inversion of this 1 hour, we're going to go up. So we were like way up here at the 9 o'clock and we had already reached down. So I'm like, oh, okay. If I get a long setup, I'm longing this and we're going to go up. The problem is 9 o'clock closed or ran up and 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock closed up here. It came back down and then it opened and then it, did this, and it took a while up until the 11 o'clock hour to close and go here. And that's when the inversion happened. And then that's when it shot up. So I was like, dang, I was waiting for this to invert, but create an inversion. And I thought I saw a nice entry before then. So I got in and I took the trade. So there was that 1 hour I was looking at. Let's go to the 15-minute. We had already taken London low, Asia low. I'm like, yeah, there's no reason to go lower. No reason. So we had, let's see, where are we at? Here, okay. So I was watching this inversion right here, this 15-minute inversion. Let's get rid of this 1 hour one. So I was watching this 15. This is where we ran down, right? We ran down, we came up, created an inversion here. And I saw we had this little one here. I was like, okay, let's see if that holds. Okay, it's respecting it. It's respecting it. And, but you see how it took one more hit right here? And then went up. Then here's where it took off, right? At the 1050 macro. Now, this was the 15-minute. I was looking at this inversion. I'm like, yeah, there's no reason. There's no, like, we already took all this sell side over here. This is some clean buy side up here. Like, we're going to run through that. It's too clean. Like, we're going to run through this. We're going to. But I'm like, there's no reason for it to go lower. Like, I was so confident. So let's go down real quick to let's go to my trading chart now. Let's go to my trading chart so we can see it. I don't know if my executions are here. Okay, my executions are not here, so I still have the web here. Let me bring this one up. Here we go. Here's my executions. Okay, so you can see it got ugly. It got ugly, but here's what I was looking at. Here's the open here. Price ran up, created this first presented fair value gap. Took these highs. It's okay. Hit that weekly fair value gap, came back down. I was not looking for a short at all. I didn't care. I was not looking for a short. I was not ready to long this yet because I like to wait for the 950 macro, give it time to do what it wants to do. And I had a sell side liquidity down here and previous day low was down there again. So I was like, let's see if we make another run for it. I didn't think we would, but then I saw this coming down and then it's still before 950, right? So for me, my rule is I can't trade before 950. So still 945 here. Boom, 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 coming down. Shot down here. Look at that. Right at the midpoint of this wick, basically. I was like, oh, nice. Came back up. Shot up, creating with displacement. And I was looking for this to become an inversion. And I was looking at this as an order block here. Bullish order block. So I was like, man, this is a nice bullish order block. Displacement here. It should not come back below here again. And it definitely shouldn't trade back below this low. So then, even though it shot up here, did not create an inversion yet, but I was okay with that because I'm bullish, right? And I was okay with that. I know this is going to become an inversion. I don't need it to create yet, to close above yet for me to enter the trade because it already traded all the way through, all the way up here. Came down, and you see I have two entries because I got in initially here, and my trade copier was not, I made a mistake somewhere, and I didn't turn on my copier. And so I was like, oh my God, it's not copied. So it came up, I went ahead and closed it, and then it came back down again. So I was like, oh, nice. I had time to turn on my copier and get back in. So I did that. Now, here's where my mistake happened. I should have measured this out better because I'm really trying to focus on a 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio as best I can. So if I would have measured this out, I think this is me making excuses now, but I really think the copier issue that I had distracted me. But that's not a good excuse because I had plenty of time back here at 3 minutes of time to make sure I had this measured out. And I just didn't. So if I had measured this out, I know I want to enter here. And if I would have measured out the low, this is pretty low. 37 points. I could have put my stop there. That would have been just fine. Or I could have put my stop at the low that created the fair value gap. That would have been better. That would have been 27.5. And then this high would have been my target for low hanging fruit up here. So let's measure out this high. That'd have been a 1.98 risk reward ratio. That's fine. Like, that's good. And if I wanted to take it to 2, that's easy. That would have been just easy right here. That would have been 2 to 1 right there. And you can see it hit it easily. Came back down, hit it, got in, didn't take much heat, and it just ran right up there. 2 to 1. That was nice. However, I didn't quite do that. I measured this low as where my stop was going to be. So that's 37 points. So 2 to 1 is way up here. 358. Now, I thought it would get up here because I think it was like 363 was a London high. So yeah, the London high is going to be there. I have the midnight opening price below, like right up here, new day opening gap, and up here was my draw for the day. It should get there no problem. So I had my target up here. So when the trade happened, did this, ran straight up, and then look at this. Look what happened afterwards. Came back down to where? Order block. I mean, this held right here. Came back up, but then look at this. So I did have my stop down here, but look at this right back down here. 15-minute fair value gap. There was actually a rejection block, I believe, on the 15-minute it was. Right here. And I was like, man, come on. And then all this, and then finally came back up. Created a 5-minute, which I'm going to show you something here in a second. This is going to be a little golden nugget. But ran up, created this order block, 5-minute fair value gap, that held, shot up here, and finally came up, and look where I got out. When it came back up to these highs and struggled to get past that, I was like, you know what? I've sat in this. I've been looking over and monitoring this here and there. I need out of this thing. I'm done. I do not want to risk another pullback, even though it shouldn't. I'm done. Let me get out. So I got out. 2 minutes later, shot right up to my target. But I didn't care at that point. I was like, whatever. So here's my little golden nugget. Look at the 5-minute. And this is what I've noticed after the past couple days. Here, let's go back. Let's go back real quick to my other chart, my clean chart here. Oh, hey, left my executions there. Okay. So check out the 5-minute. Look at this ugliness, right? That's what I was in. This ugliness. But check this out. What I've noticed is when there's a 5-minute fair value gap in the direction that you're trying to take a trade, after your trade time, that's when the market goes. I've been monitoring this. I'm going to do more studying with how I can utilize it, but I've noticed that. So if I'm bullish, when there's a bullish fair value gap, that sucker is going to hold and it's going to go. But if you look here, there's 0 bullish fair value gaps. Oh, and by the way, the bearish ones won't hold up. So here we get here. Look, there's 0 fair value gaps on the 5-minute. We finally get one right here, a bearish one, right here at the 1025 mark. And because we're bullish, it's not going to hold, so it doesn't hold. It creates an inversion. But not only that, look when it finally created a bullish fair value gap right here, 1040. And then look at the 1050, reach down into it, and then that's when it delivered all the way up to that overall buy side that I had. It's just something I've noticed. Here's the 15-minute. 15-minute was pretty ugly too. No fair value gaps on the 15-minute, except for the ones down here. Until we got one at 1045, which created when this bar closed at 11 a.m. and took off. But that 5-minute one's the key. So like if I go back to even yesterday on the 5-minute here, this was yesterday. After the open, 930. I was bullish. Where's 950 is right here. After 950, where's their fair value gap? A bullish one, because I'm bullish. Nowhere. We had a 11 a.m. one. That's bearish, but look what happened. Got inverted because price is bullish. But even then, that's not like that's after 11. I don't even trade after 11. So something I'm noticing there, when you have a fair value gap in the direction of your overall bias after the time that you're looking for an entry, that's yeah, I'm noticing something with that. I'm going to put it together. But anyway, so that's my trade. I got out and I was like, you know what? I'm done. So let's bring up the video as always. Here's the video. This was, see, I marked this 1 minute fair value gap and I'm like, yeah, I know I'm expecting this to be an inversion. So I'm going to go ahead and now I am going to fast forward this a lot because it was a long video. So I already know I'm looking for this to be an inversion. So I'm going to switch my marking to an inversion. Right there, created an inversion. I'm looking at this 1 minute fair value gap. Now you'll see me actually execute this here and have to get out. See, I'm in. Placing my stop. And I initially had my stop here. Placing my target. And I'm like, yeah, nothing copied. Nothing copied. I'm like, what? So I didn't have my account turned on. So what I did is I exited. It was up a little bit. So yeah, let me close this out. Then it came back down. I entered again, and this time I got in my PAs. But you'll see. Watch this delivery. I'm going to let you watch this delivery first and see where I could have taken my profit and everything. But again, that's my mistake. I didn't measure out correctly. Let's fast forward just a little bit here because I think it was like 3 minutes in. And you can see it hasn't created this inversion yet. It did trade all the way through, but it hasn't closed above it. But I know it's going to. Like there's zero reason why I should trade back lower. Here we go. Yeah, I think it's right when it turns 10 a.m. is when it really fires off. We should see it just really take off. Here we go, 10 a.m. There we go. It's okay. It wants to deliver here. Put a little 2x speed on this one. Just want to show the delivery. Because it does exactly what it should do here. It's like, okay, I want to see it close above this first presented fair value gap again. And look at that. Look at that delivery. Very nice. Delivered right up through the high there. I thought it was going to deliver all the way up to my target right there. But nope. And then that's where you start seeing it come back on me. And I'm like, oh my God. You've got to be kidding me. So at one point I did move to break even, but I was like, no, it looks like it doesn't want to deliver. So it's going to come all the way back down here again. So I had to move my stop back to my normal spot. See, let's see. See here. I'm like, okay, maybe it'll reach back down into this fair value gap. Hit this inversion again. Hit this little order block and take off. But no, this thing came down. I was like, oh, what is going on here? This is not supposed to be happening. Okay, hit this order block. Let's see it deliver now. Did not want to do that. So this is where I start measuring. I'm like, oh, crap. I think I messed that up. That's when I realized. It's like that what is it, a meme or whatever it is? Like, this is the moment you realize that you effed up. It was at this moment I realized. I was like, gosh. It's like, oh, well, it is what it is. Just going to let it ride. So then it keeps doing this. It's like, holy moly. Look at that. Look at this drawdown I'm taking. So just sitting in it. I'm not even really paying attention at this point. Like I am, but I'm not. So then I'm like, okay, I come back. I'm looking. I'm like, okay, now we may deliver. Let's see what happens. And then I see the 5-minute fair value gap wanting to form, and it does pull back down to it at somewhere. Maybe it was here. I don't remember. And then it goes. Oh, it's right there. Pulled right back down into it again. Let's just back up a little quick. Oh, yeah. See, this is where I notice it. I'm like, getting a 5-minute fair value gap. Reach down in here. Now we should deliver. We should take off. This will be a bullish order block. Let's go. So, still kind of took its time a little bit, though. But started making its way. And you'll see when it gets up there. So now at this point, I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to trail behind it because I'm sick of this. Whatever happens, happens. I want out of this thing. Took these highs. I'm like, okay, if it really hesitates and it's hard here, then I don't care. If it knocks me out here, I don't care at this point. Then I was looking at this high and I was like, okay, if we take this high, then I'll put my stop right under it. If it knocks me out, whatever. And if it takes off, good. Let's see. Let me get to that point. Here we go. Now I'm just like, all right. I'm like, oh, crap. Where did I put? I didn't have a chance to throw my stop down. So, oh, crap. So now I'm like, all right, I'm just going to leave my stop here. Whatever happens, happens. It doesn't knock me out right away. It kind of goes up, and I am able to kind of trail it a little better. But it never really displaced out. So, took me out there. And then as you can see on the chart, it 2 minutes later took off and ran straight up to my target. So whatever, all good. It is what it is. Had a good day still. So it just kind of sucked to sit in. Not going to lie. I mean, I was able to put it on another screen and kind of just glance over and just let it ride until it finally got back up there. But hey, it is what it is. So anyways, I don't want to keep you. It's Thursday. I hope you got something out of this. That 5-minute fair value gap, I'm telling you, watch that. So that's all for this recap. Hopefully we'll have another one tomorrow. Hope you all have a great day. And it's Friday tomorrow. So my golden rule, my Friday rule, you should all know it by now, is don't do anything stupid on a Friday. All right. So that's it. Have a great evening and trade well, everybody. Take care.